they come through to encourage us and give us hope and strength. And I think their main thing really is for us to remember who we are and why we're here, and that isn't an easy thing to do, but I think we're getting it more and more and more. We are so getting it.
Because it's been a while since we did our last podcast, and we're in sort of going into the proper thing now. Would you like to introduce yourself? Do you mind introducing yourself for those who don't know who you are and what you do?
Yeah, not at all. Who am I?
Yeah, who are you? Who are you really? Why are you here?
Who am I?
What are you doing?
Well, my name is Blossom Goodchild, and I am the label for me is a direct voice channeling medium. So I bring through a Native American called White Cloud, and he speaks through me and brings wisdom to the world. I am also able to channel, quite a few different consciousness beings, but mainly the Federation of Light, who I've been channeling since 2005. And White Cloud came through because I was quite ill when I was 17 for a long time. And it's a long story, which can be found on my website. And it's quite an interesting journey I find myself on originally, and still now. My absolute passion is the theatre. My parents were in the theatre, brought up in the theatre, still do professional work when it comes along, and that's when my soul soars. It soars when I'm working in the theatre. And everybody says, when I work, my energy changes it's through the roof. And but having that and this kind of, I can't call it work, this kind of play that I do, I feel very blessed to have such a life. People said, if you were given $5 million, once upon a time it used to be $1 million, but now that doesn't go very far anymore. But what would you do? And I'm like, I'd do nothing different, because everything I do is I love, I do love my life very much. I decided in my when I hit 50 or maybe before, that I just thought, I'm not going to do anything I don't want to do anymore, and I'm going to say no to things. And that was a really hard thing to do. For about 6 months, it felt so, I didn't know who I was, or it felt so strange to say no thank you, and just tell the truth. Just say, can I get back to you? I'm not sure how I'm going to, just being honest. And it served me so well, so that now somebody can say something and straight away I'll just go, oh no thank you. It just doesn't bother me anymore, just to be in my truth and just say I don't, it's not my thing, or whatever it is. I've veered off of who I am there, Alicia. As I tend to do. But yeah, so and lived in Australia. This is my coming up to the end of my 23rd year. And I love it. A lot of my family are over here, so that's really lovely. And sadly, as you know, Alicia, my husband passed away just over 2 years ago now. So that's been a very strange and difficult and different journey that I wasn't expecting at all. But these things, they say these things make you stronger, and they do. They just do. You have to, pull up your big girl's pants and get on with it, because you do have the choice. I could have sat here for 2 years and just indulged in my grief, and you have to let grief out. You have to. You don't have a choice. I don't think of that. When it's there, it's there. But I just thought, well, you've got to get on. So I run a choir now, and I play pickleball 3 times a week. People say to me, good Lord, Blossom, you've created this new life for yourself. And I have, because I had to, type of thing. And but it certainly is, for people who have lost somebody, you know, be it your parents or your partner. I've lost both my parents, but losing my husband was a different ball game altogether.
Yeah.
You know, they will understand. It's, you have this bond with each other of knowing what depth of pain
Yes.
you know that you have to go through and come out the other side, you know. So
How long were you
yeah,
together?
so,
Sorry.
25 years. 25
That's
years,
very
yeah. But
significant.
blind date, there was a
Really?
blind date, some friends, yeah, some friends, and it was, for me, it was literally love at first sight. I just saw
Oh,
him and I was like, I'm going to marry you, even though I didn't want to get married. We had to get married to come over to Australia.
uh-huh.
I just knew, and it turned out, you know, we've had many lifetimes together. It was just an instant recognition, really. And I know he had to go now. He
Yeah.
had to go. It was very, you know, quick, 6 months with a brain tumor. But he says he can do much more now from where he is, you know, and that's where he needs to be. And that we made this agreement. And I think for people who have lost people, I think it's really, for me, it's really comforting in a way to think, well, we agreed this is
Yeah.
part of our plan. We agreed that you would go and leave me here. You
Yeah.
know, type of thing, because it's going, in the long term, it's going to be the best for the highest good of all, you know, type of
Yeah.
thing.
Mm.
So, you know, I think that's, if people can sort of accept that in a way, that it was an agreed thing, then it's somehow more, you know, if I think, okay, well, I must on a higher level have said, okay, Goody, you can go and leave me here,
And you
you
go
know, for another
first, I'll
20
hold the fort.
years.
Yeah.
Oh yes, I'll do my bit down here. Then there must be a higher reason for doing so. Otherwise, it
Yeah.
wouldn't have taken place, I guess, you know.
I'm sure that's true. And Goody, I mean, remind me, I'm pretty sure we talked about this last time, but I think you said that Goody was quite sort of normal in a sense. He wasn't really so much into esoteric stuff. Is that right? Is that
No,
correct?
no. He's a very easygoing chap, just to, you know, would help anybody, this, that, and the other. But I said to him one day, you know, how do you think I feel, Goody, when a lot of people around the world read my channelings and you don't have a clue? And he's like, oh, yeah, you're right. So he started you know, he read those from then on, and so supportive of anything I was doing. And if I get in a bit of a flap, he would be like, well, you know, he was just my sort of, he wore an eagle, because he was my protector. He said he was
Oh,
a eagle and he was my protector, and he was here, you know, to look after me, type of thing.
yeah.
But he would no more read somebody else's channeling than fly to the moon. He just wasn't, we didn't discuss much about it all, just not, he just didn't need to.
Mm.
You know, he just didn't need to. He just cruised through life, type of thing, and not a lot bothered him at all, you know. So
It's nice to have
yeah, it
someone
was,
like that around, isn't it? I think because they're just sort
yeah,
of
his,
unflappable, as you say, and just
yeah, very
sailing through
grounding.
life like a swan. You know, things might be going on busily under the surface, but they just sort of glide through.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
he was, you know, he was just always there to sort of assist in all ways, really, you know. So yeah, bless him. I mean, he's still, you know, I'm in touch with him as much as I feel I can be at this time. And we have said, well, perhaps, you know, down the track, before he passed, we said we'd work together. But, and
mm,
I know the time's not now, but I don't know in what capacity that will be, in what form that will take. So, and I certainly know it's not time yet.
mm.
So we'll just wait and see how that goes. But I had a rose. I started doing some events where I take, it's called a soul soother day, and I take people out on a dolphin boat
Oh, I know.
for
I
two.
so wish I was near you. I so wish I
Yes,
would be there like a
it's
shot.
it's just beautiful. So we go out, see,
Oh,
you know, just with the dolphins for two. You can't
yeah.
get in the water with them yet. We're working on that in Australia. And then we come back and have breakfast and all that. And then I do 2 hours channeling, and we have the EES system down the road. So we have and then a river cruise at the end, sunset. It's
Oh
just a
God.
beautiful day that just went, oh, you know, this is
Yeah.
hard work. And but I had a rose. I bought a bunch of roses to put outside, you know, where people are going to sit. And I picked one rose out of them and put it in a little jar, for in this room where I'm channeling. And here we are 2.5 weeks later, and that one rose is still going, because Goody and I had this thing of that our little sign to each other would be a rose, and it's sort of on its last
Wow.
legs now, but it's
Yeah,
just kept going and going and going. Yeah, so I know he's
fascinating.
around.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
that's really
Mm,
great. And what about the rest
mm.
of your family though? When you started, I mean, see, how old were you when
I
you
was
began?
40-ish, just
40-ish.
over, about
40.
40-ish, because I'm
Fine.
coming up 66 next week. So
Oh,
it's, yeah, I was around that time. And yeah, and that I have the English side of my family. Everybody knows what I do in my family, but
yeah.
there's one side, more the English side, that aren't really, not that they're not into it, they just would no more read my work or follow my stuff, not for
Mm.
any reason, it's just not their thing really, but they're very familiar with White Cloud and
Yeah.
all that. And then over here, my sister and her family and her children, my stepdaughter is over here with her family, and they're very much into White Cloud and
Mm.
awake and aware in many ways. So it's not like I am an estranged weirdo for them, because everybody loves White Cloud. It's
It's
they
hard
all
not
love
to
White
love
Cloud, and they're
it.
very supportive of me. Very supportive. My sister especially is so supportive, and so yeah, it's nice that everybody is able to accept. There's
Yeah.
nobody, not one of them, that thinks she's completely nuts. Well, they might do, but they never tell me. They're sort of just like, oh, she's a bit woo-woo, my
Yeah.
stepmother, or whatever it might be. So that's nice as well.
Okay. And
Yeah.
were you from was your family religious? Did you get any of that religious
Yes.
stuff? Ah,
Well, my mother wasn't. My mother was an atheist, and my
ah.
father was a staunch Catholic.
Oh, what a
That
mixture.
marriage lasted 17 years or something, and then fell apart, because, as you can imagine. But
I
my father
can
went to church every single day of
every
his life,
day.
sometimes every single day. And I asked him once how long he'd been doing that, and he said since he could remember, since he
God.
could remember. And he said his rosary twice a day,
Wow.
and in the Catholic Church. And he came out here when he had cancer, and we got him out here, and he had 3 months to live, they said, and he lasted 13 months because of the energy here. And
Mm.
within that, because of what I do, for him, channeling White Cloud and everything, him being a Catholic, it was like, he said, it was like a sword in his heart,
I
and
can imagine. I was just going
because
to
it was
say
so
that. Yeah.
against things. And yet, living with us for that time, he came round to the fact, that it wasn't such a bad thing. And, then he really started questioning his faith, because,
Mm.
um, for him, it was like he was distraught that neither my sister or I baptized our children. We weren't into the Catholic religion at all. And although I went to a boarding school, non-Catholic nunnery place, so it was like, but then he realized, well, why would a child be born into with sin and all, just all these things that didn't make sense to him.
Mm.
And yet, very interesting, Alicia, when he was dying, he was, the last 10 days he was, because the cancer went to his brain and what have you, so he was just sort of out of it a lot, and he couldn't, and my sister and I used to do shifts often, or
Mm.
we'd sit in the room together for a long time. And unbeknown to me and unbeknown to her, we had both at separate times got his rosary and just said the rosary out loud for him so he could hear it, which
Oh,
isn't my bag at all. And
yeah.
yet I found it so interesting, because it's just a mantra. It's the same thing. I thought, oh, I get this. I get why
Yeah.
people do this and go out, go off, because, and
Mm.
I just thought, what a waste of time that is. It was very interesting. And even saying grace, I got so turned off by the Catholic religion, with all respect to those who aren't turned off by it, truly, each to their own. So I sort of knocked everything. So things like saying grace and things like that, I was like, nah, no way. Whereas now, before I eat anything, I give thanks for my food. It's just, you've got to take out of anything that which serves you, haven't you, really?
Yeah, exactly. And it kind of goes full circle as well, I think. As I mean, I was very anti going to church I mean, my parents weren't particularly dogmatic about things, and they used to sort of haul me off to Sunday school. I was so bored. I think age about 7, I just decided, no, I don't want to do this anymore. So I just said, I don't want to go, So luckily, they didn't coerce me, and they left me at home to do my thing.
Yeah.
As I got older, maybe I'd cook Sunday lunch or something, like that, and just avoided that. And I've never really been a church kind of person, but at the same time, it then became quite a long journey to find my spirituality, because I didn't have a vehicle for it. So lots of interesting journeys into grief, into loss, into that whole thing. Who am I? What am I here for? All of that. It took me until I was about 40 actually, and before I started to have a clue.
And I think as well, what you're, how, because I was at this Catholic convent, with nuns, what you're indoctrinated with, and I had to, we had to go to church a lot, and it was, once I was like, this isn't for me, it was very difficult to deprogram yourself from, God being a person doing this, and God, in fact, just deprogramming from God being a person,
That's an interesting one in itself,
because that in itself, So, there's a lot of stuff, I think, from childhood, depending on what is fed to you, on letting go and actually finding out for yourself what blows your blouse up. What is your thing? What is your God? What is your consciousness? Is it God, consciousness, love? It's all the same thing. We just have a different label depending on how we've been brought up, or some people just crawl away at the name God, at the sound of the word God. They're like, no, thank you.
And
you think, what a shame.
Yeah, I was like that for quite a long time. And then eventually I came around to the idea that we are all an aspect of God, actually.
God,
we all have that spark of divinity inside. It's part of who we are. We're fractals of God.
The light. Yes. I mean, and if you say to people, I think I've found that if you sort of say, oh, the light, people are far more open, because they haven't got that, there isn't that impression of the word God there to confuse, oh, I'm not a God person or whatever. But if you say, oh, the light, we are, without question. I know with my father, when I said, I was trying to explain that I am God in here. I am God. I am, and he found that absolutely blasphemous, blasphemous, because how dare you compare yourself even, or whatever, it's just different perspectives. But he definitely came round, and when he did pass, I was doing a white cloud thing. It was my first sort of one as opposed to little meetings. It was in the local theatre, and there was about 100 people there. And it was the first sort of branching out in that way for me, and this, that, and the other. And a clairvoyant lady at the end, she came up to me and she said, can I pass a message on? She said, there's a gentleman in the wings, she said, and he was in a blue suit. And he wanted to know that he's now met White Cloud, and he's very proud of you. And his name, he gave the name of John, and John was my dad's name. So it was just really, that was really, really nice.
That makes me feel quite emotional.
It was really nice, and my mother couldn't understand what I do at all, but she wanted to, but she just couldn't. Whereas now that she's passed, I know that she understands.
Same with my mother too, I think. My dad popped in the other day. Actually, I was having some distant Reiki, and all of a sudden he's standing next to me, but as he used to be, I suppose, in his late 30s probably, and he passed away when he was 94. And it was stressful. We talked about this before, I think, because he died at the onset of COVID, and we couldn't see him and all that. blood.
Yes, yeah.
Horrible, horrible, horrible. But there he was, very upright, wearing his high-waisted trousers like he used to. He had hair.
Very high
like he
pants.
used to, yes. He had lots of hair on his head like he used to. I mean, he didn't have
Yeah.
hair here for decades, but
Mm,
obviously, and it was black, whereas he was silver-haired for a long, long time. And it was just
mm.
really nice. He just sort of stood there and was like, here I am.
It's a lovely feeling, isn't it, when you
Yeah.
can just feel their presence and know that they're all right as well, I think,
I
is
know.
is the
It's
thing, knowing that
really
they are
exciting.
fine.
Yeah, even my mother's popped in a few times. And in fact, since we last spoke, I've started channeling myself. I don't know
Mm,
if I mentioned it before, but I've started doing light language.
okay, yeah.
And I was very resistant to it in the beginning because I thought, well, people are just going to think I'm a complete crackpot, And then I just got pushed by I don't know who, with one of my guides, the guide team, I don't know, whatever. But I started doing it in my gong sessions.
Yeah.
And then I got the impulse to sing, and I was resisting it and resisting it and resisting it. And then at the end of a gong bath, I was fiddling around with my chimes as I do at the end. And I heard the word sing. Oh, okay. It was untold.
Singing in light language.
Yes, yes,
Wow.
yeah, I know. And it was quite extraordinary because it takes me to a different place altogether. It's such
I'm sure.
a high vibe. Sometimes I've got tears streaming down my
Yeah,
cheeks.
I'm sure. Yeah.
And actually, I'm really close to sobbing because it's just so beautiful. It's not because I'm upset.
Yeah.
It's
Mm.
you
Yeah.
can't quite.
It's the love energy, isn't it? I know sometimes when White Cloud or the Federation come through, sometimes if they're expressing how grateful they are to be able to, whatever it might be, the love that they bring through is too high for my body. And so the taps have to come out this way because it's too much emotionally for my body. The vibration of that love is so much higher than
So high.
mine.
So
It's sort of,
high.
it's just stunning. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's absolutely gorgeous. And I just try to express it through the melody. And there's a group, what I'm seeing in my head, I see this group of grandmothers, which
Wow.
is just beautiful. And they're sort of in the edge of the forest, sort of standing around the trees. And there's one particular elderly lady who's she's clearly the leader of the pack, sort of thing. And my voice changes when she comes along.
Yeah,
And
beautiful.
it's just fascinating. I'm sort of watching myself from once removed doing this thing, and it clearly moves other people.
Yes.
With significant.
That's where you've got to trust, isn't it? Because you might be in your head be thinking, what is going on here? Whereas it's the energy that's coming through. And when you trust it, and people would say, oh my God, I just sort of melted or whatever, as that energy, that you go, oh, that's okay, because it is. Like with light language, I think, many people speak light language and different dialects, different, I don't know, because they're all so different. And I can hear some light language and I think it's absolutely beautiful. And there's others that I think, oh, what? And I personally, with the greatest of respect to my guys, I don't particularly resonate with the light. It's not that I don't resonate with it, it's just when it comes through me, it's one of those, it's so fast, so ridiculous for me, I think, and yet people go, oh God, it touched my heart so deeply, did it? And I think, oh well, because to me, Alicia, I think I sound like a 4 or 5-year-old trying to talk a different language to be grown up, it just, and yet it just comes out. And I always say, you can't make light language up because it's too quick. It's too quick to even think about what you're going to say. And again, I think you have to trust with so many things, because when we did the last Dolphin, the Soul Soothe this day, last Saturday, the dolphins, you know, out on the water, it was just so magical. And in fact, my channeling that I'm putting up tomorrow, on Sunday, we talk about the dolphin energy and the, you know, the ocean and this, that, and the other. But when I started doing my channeling, White Cloud came through first, and then I thought it was going to be the Federation, and the energy changed. And lo and behold, the dolphin consciousness came through and spoke.
Wow.
And I was like, oh my God. But I don't anymore. It's not like I go, oh my God. I don't. I just trust, because it was so strong. But, you know, they started off, which the Federation can do quite often in light language or whatever, with the clicks of the, you know, and I thought, hello, and then it came through and said, we are the dolphin consciousness. And I guess when you think, you know, logically about it, you can bring through ants if you want to, you know what I mean, because we are all consciousness. So why can't they come into my being and speak their piece through me, whoever they are? A tree, you know, a flower, any animal, anything is all part of consciousness. So all they're doing is just using, say, for instance, my body, your body, whoever's, to actually communicate in a form that we can actually understand, you know. So and the energy that they bring through is so powerful.
I can imagine. That must have been beautiful.
It was, you know, it was lovely. But, you know, and always I think with channeling, it's not, it has to be uplifting, but I feel it should be. You know, it's like that. What are you coming through? Don't come through and give us a load of negative whatever, because that isn't coming from the right level or why they're coming through. You know, they come through to encourage us and give us hope and strength and you know, help us to I think their main thing really is for us to remember who we are and why we're here, you know. And that isn't an easy thing to do, but I think we're getting it more and more and more. We are so getting it as the energy gets higher and more powerful, and we rise up to that energy. The level, I think, now that so many are at is just stunning. It's really like exciting, because we're not in this, oh God, this world is shit, you know. We're not in that place anymore. We've moved through to be like, right, we're here, we're doing what we came to do, and that is to bring light. So let's be light, let's have a bloody good time, let's have a laugh, you know, and everything you do come from that space instead of, and of course we have our days, don't we, of like, you know, let's hide away, and we're allowed those days. We of course we are, but in general, I think the level of understanding of who we are has totally, you know, is going off the charts at the moment. And they say that's just the beginning, you know. So imagine how we're going to feel and the wonders we can create and all that as we carry on getting it, you know.
Do you think that it's a natural talent for humanity to be able to channel or tap into this kind of
I think it has to be, because it's funny, because quite a lot of people say, you know, could you do a channeling course so, you know, we could learn how to channel? Well, I can't, because I didn't, it just happened for me. And I would have no more idea of how to teach somebody, because there isn't, you know, you could have the protocol of, well, you know, make sure you're in a nice space and all that sort of stuff. But at the end of the day, you're either going to be able to channel or you're not. And I think everybody can channel, but not necessarily in the way that I did. They might channel by automatic writing, music, as you say, talents.
Just receiving intuitive ideas. That's channeling of a sort, isn't it?
Of course, because we're just tapping in to consciousness, really, aren't we? You know, so yes, I think actually when you say, do we have different talents? I think perhaps it's, you know, the gifts perhaps that we are able to bring through. I think maybe I always go back to this, but that we agreed before we came, because we sort of knew what we were coming here to do and why we were doing it, and you know, whether that would be suitable per person to do that, you know, like you with your music. You know, that's such a gift to be able to to reach people deep inside through music. You know, it's such a gift. So I think everybody, you know, some people are like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing and I haven't got any of these. Well, we all have.
We all have an
Smile.
aspect,
There's your
of
gift.
course. Yes. Or
Yeah.
you just, you know that even just that thing of where you think of somebody and they ring you, that's
Yes.
you're channeling in a way because you're calling that energy in.
You're just tapped into
You
consciousness,
just
aren't
tapped into consciousness, and I do really, really think that that aspect of even people who wouldn't call themselves psychic is waking up big time. And I
you?
think
Yes.
also the fact that you know, when people visualize, they're activating their pineal gland, and their pineal gland is then going to make them more instinctive, more intuitive, more creative. It's going to allow ideas to flow more easily.
Yes.
I just find that so exciting.
Yeah. And it's definitely changing, you know. It's because the more we sort of accept who we are and why we're here, and understand how to behave type of thing while we're here, then that, you know, that ripple effect goes out to more people and they wake up and they do the same, and it spreads and it spreads. And I think that's how it's all happening. You know, and within that spreading, of course, the more people that have become awake and aware and alert, then that energy, that light is so much stronger and more powerful with each and every individual that wakes up. That's one more added on to the tribe, you know, that's all on the same page. It's so lovely to be. I am very blessed to be with people on the same page, and I, you know, through the days that I have and all that, meeting people on the same page, so blessed. It's when I was in England, a lot of people, not the same language for me. It's not, you know, it's a very different level of which we talk about things and what we talk about. And I know many people who don't have people on the same page and are very lonely. And that's why they go online to talk with people, because they need to express themselves. But if they do, their family or whatever just think they're absolutely crackers. And that's really a difficult journey that they've chosen.
It's a really lonely
But at the
place to be in, right?
yes, but I think at the same time, I mean, don't quote me on this for goodness sake, but I think as in time down the track, those people that think we're all woo-woo, they will be the ones that will be going, now, who is that woo-woo person? Oh, didn't my mother or didn't my sister talk about such and such once? I'll talk to them, because I don't know anybody else that can make sense of what's now happening in the world. And so I think that's why we are the pioneers and the way showers, even though we've just planted those little seeds that people will go, oh, I know, I can go and talk to them because they know something about this stuff, because it's all going to happen. And people are going to be so lost and so afraid because they don't understand anything. So that's why, even though, you know, we may get ridiculed, well, it just doesn't matter, does it?
Oh, it
It
really
just
doesn't.
doesn't matter what people
I
think.
really don't care what people think anymore. You know,
No,
when I began doing this like language, I thought, oh God, I didn't even want to use the term because I didn't want to be judged. You know, and then I thought, oh, you know, the hell with it. Well, I'll just say it. You know, if people think it's weird, they won't come, right? So now I just put it out there, and I say, well, you know, it's a useful term. It kind of gives some people an idea of what it's about. Other people don't know what it means. It's an expression of an emotion. It's a blessing. It's you know, when I do it, I see these images and I get the feeling that is trying to communicate through me. So it's not like you couldn't translate it word for word, but you can definitely translate the feeling. So I do that. You know, I say, oh well, this was the message. It's like, you know, don't forget, we're always here. This is what the oldest one always says. We're always here. We're always there for you. You're never alone.
No.
Just have to look for us, have to ask us, have to.
That's right. Yeah. And just because we can't have that physical contact, you know, we just have to accept that, really, you know. But it's you know, it's very interesting. I you know, like when I do the light language, but sometimes White Cloud will talk in his ancient Native American tongue. And again, with that, I just trust and let it flow, because I can hear, I'm still in there, so I can hear him speaking. And it's like, I think, well, I wonder if a Native American, would they be able to translate this, from the ancient times, because I feel it's a different language from what it say would be now. And so you could go into that whole thing of, well, what if it's a load of gobbledygook? Couldn't you? You just could. What if I'm just making this all up? But it's lovely and it's heartfelt. And again, like you, it's like, go with the flow, Blossom. Just go with the flow, because if you don't trust yourself, because I think with everybody, as it's all about intention. And if your intention is to give out love and assist, then you're not going to go far wrong unless you let your ego get in the way. And then once that gets in the way, good luck, because to channel or connect with consciousness in that way, there is no place for ego within that. No,
absolutely not. No, it has to
so
be.
you just have to let go. And as you say, if people think, God, dear, what a load of codswallop, so be it. All we're doing is doing our best, aren't we?
Yeah, exactly. And if people don't like it, they won't come back.
Yeah. Mind you, I have not many, but I have a few people that keep coming back and just slagging me off.
Really?
I just think, yeah. There's a couple that just sort of keep, and I say, go and find something that does resonate with you. Don't keep coming back. Why do you keep coming back if you think it's a load of bollocks?
Well, you know what I think it is? It's probably because they actually rather enjoy slagging somebody off.
Yeah.
And therefore, they know that they can, because it's easy for them to judge. So
I did have somebody who's been doing it for a long time, and I just stopped writing back, after a while, and they kept writing everything, and in the end it just caught me on a bad day, and it was just something about the Federation of Lies and and all this kind of thing, and it just, I was in the wrongs, and I didn't write much. I just wrote back and said, do you enjoy being so mean? And that's all I said, because it's just downright mean what they say to me and everything. And it's like, I think what gets me a bit is, what kind of space must they reside within themselves to have to give that out to others all the time? That can't be a nice place to be within themselves at all.
Exactly.
And
obviously they're venting something, and you're an easy target.
Yeah.
What you do is not conventional. What I do is not conventional. I had a guy say on a platform the other day, when I was promoting my events, he said, "Oh, only for the gullible." I thought, well, I didn't respond, actually. Or did I? Did I say something? I can't remember what I said. But I thought, oh yes, I did. I said, oh, it's only for the open-minded, actually.
Nice one.
Yeah.
And it is often, it's just best to not feed their fire, isn't it? Just
and he didn't respond to that, actually, so I thought, touche.
Yes. Sometimes sometimes I think it's good just to reply back, because it sort of puts them in their place a little bit, like we are, or like we are human. You having a go at us, don't forget we do have feelings, type of thing.
I don't think they care about that. It's more to do with making a point or making themselves feel good about themselves. But what they forget, I think, is the intention, as you were saying earlier. The intention is purely for other people's benefit. And with sound especially, it's like, it's scientific, actually. It's completely scientific. And some people think it's just totally woo, but it's not. It's science.
No.
Actual science. Unfortunately, I'm not a scientist, so I couldn't.
But I get that you saying that, and I'm not a scientist either by any stretch of the imagination, but I get it. I get, to do with the whole sound thing, it's the tone, the energy of it, etc., that is a different language that we receive, but we can't necessarily interpret. We just receive it, and we understand it from within. And and I think the music side of things is just it's just, I think it's incredibly beautiful that we have music and sound in our lives, in our universe,
Yeah,
because it touches, it connects with the heart so
yeah, absolutely.
easily, doesn't it?
Yeah, and you're a
Yeah,
musician yourself, actually, aren't you? So although you
yeah,
don't do that often, but I love your comedy turns. They're really
yes. Like Gertrude Flutterbucket. It's funny because I've done two Gertrude Flutterbuckets. People who don't know that I put on the wig and I do these little pieces on the keyboard, and but it's like I wanted to do a little something for Christmas with Gertrude. Can I get anything down? No, no, I can't find what I need to do. And I've been asking for ages. And I think, oh, well, okay, just obviously not meant to do it. But I wanted to do just a little, little Christmas skit. But it's like with my choir, I started my choir, and we've got our first gig on the 19th of December, singing carols at the
oh.
Seniors Club.
Ah,
Carols and other
yeah, that would
stuff,
be
yeah.
nice.
And so
Yeah.
we're working hard at that. But I started it originally because so many people, I said, oh, I think I might start a choir, something to do. And they were like, oh, I can't sing. I'd love to do a choir, but I can't sing. And so I said, well, that's exactly what it's for people who think they can't sing. And now, a year down the track, we're doing 3-part harmonies and,
Wow.
and all that kind of thing. Yeah. And there are moments when I stop playing and they're just singing and I go, wow, that is just fantastic, because I think for people to sing from their heart, it brings so much joy. That's why people sing in the car, they sing when they're doing the housework. People sing because their heart wants them to, and it's not about whether you sound good or bad or you've got a nice voice or not so nice. It's just about the doing of this, that
And the
allowing
vibration,
that.
the
Yes, the
actual physical
vibration.
vibration of your own voice
Yes,
is
yes.
really healing.
Mm,
Really healing. Because
yes.
probably many people who say they can't sing wouldn't experiment
Mm,
with running up and down the scale and feeling how the vibrations move around the body, but it's astonishing. You feel
mm,
your chest vibrating, your throat, your head, your nose, your whatever.
yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
really it's powerful, and we've been
Mm,
diverted away from these kinds of things, which are available to everyone who has a voice, basically.
yes. Yes.
And I
Yes.
think that
I did
does.
hear, and I can't back myself up on this. I don't know why I'm even going to bring it up, but I did hear that those of lesser light upon this planet have changed the actual frequency of what the tone of C, for instance, or whatever should be, so
Yeah.
that we are never in correct alignment with it. Can you,
Yeah,
perhaps you
I know
can?
exactly. Yes, I do know about that because it happened during in the 1930s. Now, who was it? It was one of the Nazis, I believe, and it was a standardization. I mean, the theory was that it would standardize all the instruments so that everybody could play together. That was the general theory.
Right.
But what's really interesting is that when the musical scale is tuned to A at 432 hertz, all of the notes in the scale, the frequencies of the notes, add up to 9. And 9 is the number of the planet, supposedly. I read that
Right.
somewhere. I don't know how true that is, but that's what I read. So I'm going to take that because it felt right. And then when the standardized tuning, which is currently in use, is A at 440 hertz, and then none of the notes add up to 9. So it's the sort of scattered,
That's,
more
yeah.
scattered.
Mm.
And
Yes.
there's this theory that it was done deliberately to disconnect us from the healing
Yeah.
frequencies of
Yeah.
music.
Yeah. 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 And when
So,
I heard that, I was like, oh God, what
I,
else? Is there anything they've missed? No, I
I
don't
doubt
think.
it. Well, they've been at it. I probably shouldn't talk about this too much, but anyway, no, they've been at it for quite a long time, apparently.
Mm.
Looking
Yeah,
at
that's
every
right.
which way. But now I think
Yes.
it's time for breakthrough, and
Yeah,
people
definitely. Yeah,
are more aware of
definitely.
this kind of thing than they've ever been.
Mm,
So
mm.
I think it's
Very much
much going
so.
to be much harder for wool to get pulled over the collective eyes
Yes,
than
yes.
ever before.
Indeed. Yeah,
I certainly hope
yeah,
so.
yeah, yeah. Mm.
So it's fascinating, really, isn't it?
It is. It's incredible, and I think we're in for such a surprise. I don't know, the Federation lately have said, that you think you know what's coming. You think you know when they say that the truths that are going to come out. You think you have an idea or a scale, on a scale of an idea of some more than others regarding what's going to be revealed. And then, there's this come out with this, like, you have absolutely no idea at all what actually is going to
Well,
transpire.
it's
And you go,
Christmas
well,
star, can you imagine?
what will it be? What
Yeah.
is it going to be? But they say that, I mean, there's no way, when they say you have no idea, we can't try and find out, guess, like, what will it be? Because we don't actually have any idea. And I think whatever it might be, it's going to be off the scale, mind-blowing, and change everything around. And I think that's a thing. For so long, or I have certainly thought, well, it's going to be revealing truths of what's going on our planet, that many people aren't aware of, and things like that. And that's going to turn the world upside down, and we've got to work our way through that understanding. And now I'm like, well, maybe it's just not that at all. Maybe it's going to be such a humdinger of a sort of drop, like, get a load of this. And we go, whoa, and now let's start trying to live with that knowledge, or whatever. We just don't know. But it's, I think it's on the cards.
Yes, I do think it's on the cards. I really feel it, and it just feels like, just about the void is just over the horizon. We're just gonna go, oh my God.
Don't you think, Alicia, that I've felt that so many times?
Yeah.
That the times people have said, with respect to you and myself and everybody, the times people have said, I can feel it. I can feel something is about to crack. And I go, yeah, right. Because the world has felt that so many times. I've heard that from people so many times. Because it's sort of building and building and building. But what they say is this is coming. That could, no offense, that could mean in 200 of our years' time, or it could mean in 2 days. I don't think so. Not that long.
I think it's actually much closer than that. And I think we will see something in our lifetime. We might not see the end result, but I really do think
we're here for the change.
We are actually here to witness change and to support people through it.
Yes,
that's my feeling. And I think that's why there are so many people now doing the light language, doing the channeling, all of this stuff, which is opening people's minds to a different way of being beyond that which we've been told forever.
And I think that the Federation, when they first came through, asked me to write this book called The Bridge, and and they talk about it quite a lot in the channelings, is that the way showers, if you like, those of us that are already awake and aware, we are now even, but I think there will be a much more poignant time leading those of us who know where the bridge is will be taking people to the bridge and taking them over to the other side, and then coming back, and we'll bring some more and bring them over, and keep taking people to the other side, whatever that other side represents. No idea. So the other side, and then there will be a time when those of us who were the way showers, if you want, for want of a better word, won't be able to come back over the bridge, because their energy our energy will be too strong to come back into that vibration. So the ones that we led over will then take over and come back and bring those people over. So White Cloud has always says nobody will be left behind. Nobody. But however long that takes, type of thing. I don't think it's this massive everybody suddenly there. I think it's an ongoing flow, perhaps. But I think that sort of that really feels, it makes sense to me. That's why some of us go through it first, so that we're aware. and so that we can be there, you know, because we've gone through our sort of dark night of the soul and may do again.
Several.
All that,
Yeah.
we've been there, done it,
Yeah.
in order to be able to assist those who are then going to, it's their turn, you know.
Yeah. And I also think as well that those of us who are strong enough to take the criticism are at sort of at that edge, you know, because maybe the others who come along with us won't have to deal with that in the same way, quite possibly. You know,
Yeah, that's right.
find
Because
that inner strength and resilience in order
yeah.
to combat who do you think you are? What are you talking about? That's complete nonsense. You know, all of that
Yes.
sort of thing.
Yeah, yeah. It just be, and everything's so, you know, when I first started channeling and things, you know, 25 years ago or whatever, you know, people said, what do you do? I was like, I'm a housewife. Because if I said, or I'm an actress, you know, I wouldn't say, because if I say, oh, I'm a channeler for a Native American Indian, they were gone, you know. Like, you know, let's not go to her house anymore, you know. Whereas now it's a completely different understanding and awakening of people accepting, or even if they don't accept it, they are far more aware that this kind of thing, that there are many people in the world that are into all this greater stuff, you know, and not ashamed to be so, you know, and they can call us what they like. But you know, it's just, it doesn't matter, does it? It doesn't matter what label we're given. It's you know, as long as we are happy within ourselves, then all is well.
How much do you think it's changed you? Or were you always kind of on the
No, I was the most depressed bunny on the planet.
Really?
When I was, yes, I was. People find that, I never sort of really think about it much, really, but I was, when I was 12 or 13 and I started playing the guitar, then I wrote the most depressing songs. Most depressing songs. They certainly weren't, you know, they were all about children dying of starvation, or, you know, God made me blind, and just, and in my, I was, in my sort of late teens, mid-20s, all that kind of thing. One lady who was a nurse who I knew, and she said, you are actually a manic depressive, Blossom. And I was like, oh, you know, I didn't really know what it was, because I found everything so sad. And so, you know, what a messed up world. And, you know, I couldn't get my head around it. And then it was sort of in my early 20s, I think, when I just thought, I got to a point where I thought, I don't want to be on this planet. I just, you know, shall I take myself out, type of thing. And I thought about it. I thought, well, how would I do it? And all this kind of thing. And then I thought, actually, I don't want to kill myself, but I don't want to live either. Right. You know, I just didn't know what to do. And I thought, well, you're not going to kill. Yeah. And then I thought, well, you're not going to kill yourself, Blossom. So what are you going to do, you know, about this situation? And I just started, you know, I guess the universe started presenting me with books about positive thinking, and that a different way of looking at stuff, and realizing that, you know, it's up to me to create my life, and that stop blaming everything else and every god or whatever. Stop putting the blame and do something about your life. And I know when I first heard that you create your life, I was really depressed, because I was like, oh God, you know, I've got nobody to blame. I can't blame anybody anymore. That's a real downer, you know. And what, I've got to work at this, you know. I was like, oh no, I'm not up for all of that, thanks. But then I got it, and I realized, and I saw how it worked. And the more I worked on positive thinking and manifesting and all this, the more my life changed. And definitely, you know, my mother always used to say that when I got into channeling white cloud and stuff, she said, look, I don't understand it at all. She said, but it has certainly changed you and your life, because I became a happier person. I wasn't indulgent in anymore in this, oh, woe is me. And I worked and worked, and I say worked and worked upon it because I did work and work. You have to work on positive thinking because you have to check yourself. And now it's a natural flow for me after many, 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 many years. But I had a friend once who said there's something going on in his life. And I said, you've got to try and turn it around and think positive. And, about a week later, I said, how are you going? And he's like, oh, I tried that positive thinking. It doesn't work. And I was like, well, it
great.
won't work in a week. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
but it's really, I think it's to think, to be aware of how you think and to all of that about how you conduct your thoughts is what is the life-changing key, because you can, as I say, you can indulge in whatever you like, but where's it going to get you? Whereas if you just, if you understand the way the universe works and the laws of attraction, etc., and this, that, and the other, it works. It just works. And definitely, completely, I would say, my best friends from drama school, now they say out of, there's 3 of us that are still, really, really close friends. And they say, out of us, you are the one, Blossom, who's changed so much. And I have, completely changed who I am. Very, very much so. Because the wisdom that White Cloud and the Federation bring through, what would be the point of them bringing it through me and me not adapting or taking note of what they say and applying it? I mean, it would be ridiculous for me to go, well, yes, they say this, but I can't be bothered. So for me, it was like, well, White Cloud's saying this, or they're saying that and that. So let me look into that and feel that and apply it to my life. And so that, I think that's what the change as well was applying their wisdom and putting it into practice, really, and walking my talk.
That's a gift, right? It's such a gift.
Yeah, because it would be ridiculous for me not to. So, but I mean, and I guess if I didn't, then I wouldn't be doing this anymore, because they'd have gone and found somebody that can do the job better. Very much changed my life. Everybody would say that, from who knew me way, like 40 years ago or 50 years ago or whatever.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Fabulous,
how are we going for time?
I have no idea. What time is it? It's 23:13. So we've been going for over an hour. How much time do you have?
I can go for, say, another 10 minutes or something, if that's
okay. Let me have a quick
all right. You done?
How is White Cloud doing at the moment? Is he hanging around today, or?
He's doing well. He's doing very well. He's good. People say to me, like, you talk to him all the time, and I'm like, no, not at all. I'm like, I guess he's ever present, so I don't know, I suppose, but it's not like, I don't know, I'm just a normal person, really. And who has this lovely gift, but you want him to come through, don't you?
I was just wondering, well, because he came through last time, so I was just thought, well, I wonder if he will. I wonder if he won't. So
shall we just? I'll see.
Yeah, I mean, no pressure.
I know. A very warm welcome to you, my dear lady, and also to those who are listening to this conversation that is taking place. I understand that for those who are unfamiliar with that which Blossom and I do, that there has been much mention of my name throughout this chat, and yet they might be wondering what on earth that is all about. So in a way, it is suitable and fitting for me to come and speak, so that they can put the pieces of the jigsaw together and say, oh, that is what she is talking about. Because for Blossom, she is aware that the story of how we came together, when she says go to the website, it is because, with respect, she has told that story so many times, as with many people are the same, that do the work that people like to know where it began. We understand of that, but to keep the energy high and interesting when you have said so many times of it, it is difficult sometimes to do so. So I was aware that Blossom sort of skipped over that a bit this time. But now I am here and I have the floor, as they say. I would just like to say to all those souls that are listening to this conversation that just accept that you are here to enjoy yourselves. If you can just make that a priority of your beingness, of your everyday living, that you are here to enjoy yourself, then your life will turn around. And many may be saying, that is easy for you to say, but I have to go to work at 6 o'clock and stack shelves, for instance, for 12 hours or what it may be. That does not mean you cannot enjoy yourself doing that. You are in control of your pleasure, if you like. And so it is that when you are stacking those shelves, think wonderful things, think joyous things. If somebody comes by, make them laugh. Enjoy life no matter what your circumstances, because it is necessary to remember that you chose to be where you are. In your living situation, the country you were born in, perhaps, etc. You chose that for your benefit, to gain as much insight of yourself as you can. And therefore, if you don't like what is going on, change it. Change it, because you, only you, have the power to do so. And if it is that it is boring stacking shelves, then don't make it boring. Make it enjoyable, because then it might be that because of that, somebody else would come along and say, do you know, there is a such and such position coming up. We think it would be advisable for you to apply for it, etc. It is the trusting and knowing of yourself that you are special, that you are important. Each and every one can contribute to the happiness of this planet if they choose to do so. You can, if you choose to do so, contribute to the misery of this planet. Which would you choose? It isn't easy always. It is not always easy, depending on what is taking place in your life. But at the same time, know that these things that come to you sometimes, they do not go on forever. They will pass, and you will move through these troubles and disagreements and arguments with family, etc., whatever it may be. When you come from love, only love, it changes everything. And if you feel angry, then put yourself in a bubble with that person or that situation. Put them in your own little bubble and send them love in that way. And that will be received. They do not have to know that you are doing it, but things will change on another level that will come down into the reality of your life at this time. And so as we move into the 1st of December, which is coming up to your Christmas time, where people are busy and they get stressed and overwhelmed, instead of thinking what joy we can have by celebrating this time together, whoever you may be with. And if you should be on your own, to anyone out there, please know that there are many in other realms, many that you may know that have passed on, that are aware that you may be on your own, and they will be there with you. They will invite themselves to your Christmas dinner. They will be there to watch the movie with you. You are not alone. You will only feel alone if you choose to disagree with what I have just said, and that is your choice. But loved ones are always with you to send you love. It is up to you to accept and open your heart to receive it and give out joy at this time to everything that is living, everything that is life. Give it your joy.
Amen.
Many thanks, many thanks.
Thanks. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
That felt good. Yes, thank you.
Yes. Yeah, you're welcome. So welcome. Mm.
Yeah, and it makes sense. So people who don't know you and don't know your work, it's nice for them to see.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Oh,
Oh, wow.
mm.
I mean,
That's probably a good place to finish, do you
I
think?
think so, yeah. I was just wishing you were around the corner and we could pop around for a cup of tea and a biscuit and a chat. You know,
Yes. And I would love to one day experience one of your gong baths.
I'm sure you will at some point. Though
That
whether
would,
I have
yeah.
to borrow a gong when I come to Australia, whenever that will be.
Yes.
That's probably
Yes.
possible.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I look forward to meeting you in person.
Absolutely. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm off to play pickleball this
Oh,
morning.
what is pickleball? What is it? I don't know.
Pickleball. It's the best thing. The best thing. It's like it's a combination of tennis, badminton, and table tennis. And I used to play tennis very well when I was young. I mean, when I was young, but since I was like, left school and that, I played maybe 5 times. I just, didn't do it. And then I met this chap this chap who played pickleball, and he said, "You ought to try it, Blossom. You'd love it." And I thought, well, will I? I don't know. So I went for a session and I'm addicted. I'm addicted to it. So it's like a smaller court than tennis. It's indoors, and there's like in where I go, which is 2 minutes away. I go out my back gate and I'm at the leisure centre. It's perfect, as is my life. And they and so you have 8 courts and 4 people, 2 each side. And so it's a different scoring. It's a smaller court. You have a paddle, and the ball is very light. It's got holes in it, and it's a bit like tennis. And that, you hit it over the net, and the scoring is different, as I say. But it's just a more condensed game. There's a lot of quick volleying going on and things. And every 15 minutes, the whistle goes, and the winners go to the next court and swap so that they split, and the losers go the other way and split. So every 15 minutes, you're playing with different people and a different partner. So it's really social. Wow. Yeah, it's really social, and you have a good laugh, and some people get a bit serious about it, but I'm like, it's just a game. And I come out and I'm dripping with sweat, and who'd have thought? I do it 3 times a week, Alicia, and
Wow.
for 2 hours at a time, 2 hours
Wow,
non-stop.
that's amazing.
And I cannot believe how I'm not in a wheelchair. I just honestly, I my friend goes just once a week, and she really finds, she suffers afterwards, and yet I seem to be absolutely fine. And I just so look forward to it, because you're getting the exercise, you're meeting new people, and it's just such good fun. It's taking the world. It took America by storm, and now it's taking Australia by. It's been going for a good few years, but it's just only now that people keep going, I've heard of pickleball. What is it? I'd advise anybody.
Someone needs to bring it to the UK, because I mean, until I heard you talk about it, I'd never heard of it.
There must be pickleball, or there must be.
I have to look it up.
I bet you there is. I bet you there is.
I
advise
never
anybody.
Heard anyone mention it.
Yeah, yeah. Give it a go if you've got a court near you, because it's it's a really, well, not for everybody. It's like everything, each to their own. But yeah, I really, really enjoy it. So yeah, it's cool.
Oh, well, I don't
It's
want to
cool.
make you late.
Oh no, we're all right. We're okay. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. Second time in a row. Oh, hopefully we'll speak again.
We will.
Yes.
We will. All right, darling.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
See you.
Take care.
Thank you. We'll keep
Bye.
and yeah, speak soon.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.